Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. We are jumping right into the Bible to look at a seriously fascinating passage about relationship, presence, and participation. The title for today is This is the Blood of the Covenant, and we're anchoring this right in Exodus chapter 25. What we're going to see here is just a magnificent picture of God's sovereign grace, literally Him taking the initiative to come down and be with us. Look at this incredible verse right out of the gate. Exodus 25:8 says, "Then have them make a sanctuary for me, and I will dwell among them." I mean, think about that for a second. This completely highlights God's surprising and honestly incredibly gracious desire to dwell directly in the middle of His people. He's the creator of the whole universe, right? Yet He's the one initiating this incredibly close proximity. So here's our roadmap. We are taking a macro to micro journey today. Big picture first, then drilling into the details. We're going to cover the context at Mount Sinai, why a willing heart required, the promise of presence, some practical steps for daily life, and finally a conclusion and reflection. All right, let's hit section 1, context at Mount Sinai, which is our big picture. To really grasp this, we have to establish that massive historical backdrop first, before getting into the weeds. Going from revealing His absolute power on Mount Sinai to establishing a formal covenant, God now commands this physical sanctuary to be built. It's like a giant paradigm shift. The God who literally just revealed His overwhelming, kind of terrifying power at a distance on the mountain is now choosing, by His own sovereign will, to establish a close, intimate relationship with Israel. He absolutely doesn't want to remain far off. His whole purpose here is to be near. Moving right along to section 2, a willing heart required. This is really an invitation, not a demand. The construction of this sanctuary wasn't just some ordinary building project. It came with a very specific condition about where the people's heads and hearts were at. Check out the valuable materials requested here: gold, silver, fine linen, precious stones. God commanded Moses to collect these highly valuable items, but, and this is a massive distinction, the crucial point is that they were only to be accepted from those who freely gave them. God wasn't just after a bunch of gold. He wanted the hearts of the givers to be completely aligned with Him. This brilliantly sets up a comparison between two totally different theories of approaching God. A willing offering, which means freely giving your time, attention, and priorities, versus reluctant obedience, which is just forced obedience or an empty routine. Let's make this real. Say you're a college student right now. You know how it is. You're juggling intense classes, maybe a part-time job, a demanding social life, the whole shebang. It is so easy to fall into the trap of reluctant obedience, basically just ticking off a religious checklist out of guilt. But God is looking for a willing offering. And the beautiful thing, especially when we look at this through the lens of Reformed Calvinism theology, is that we actually don't have to muster this up entirely on our own. We can ask God to sovereignly shape and change our hearts so that our obedience becomes something we genuinely desire to do instead of something we resist. It's totally transformative. On top of that, the text points out that the tabernacle must be constructed exactly according to the pattern God shows Moses. By insisting the sanctuary be built to this highly specific pattern, it really emphasizes that engaging with God requires respecting His terms. We don't just approach Him casually or invent our own ways of worship. We approach Him exactly as He has ordained. Okay, section 3, the promise of presence, or I will dwell among them. Let's look closely at the profound promise anchored right at the absolute center of this text. To really get a handle on this presence, we have to look at the Ark of the Covenant. By definition, this was the specific location within the tabernacle, specifically the mercy seat placed right on top, where heaven and earth meet, and where God speaks and leads. It served as the literal meeting point where He would remain with His people. Now, what's truly spectacular here is how this historical promise actually points forward to an ongoing reality for us today. God's desire to dwell among His people is ultimately fulfilled in Jesus, and now through the Holy Spirit. Jesus is the ultimate tabernacle. God is not distant from your life at all. He is right there, fully present in your daily struggles, your exams, your career choices, and those quiet moments you have today. This brings us to section 4, steps for daily life, focusing on living aware. Now that we've mapped out the big picture and the theology, let's drill down into a step-by-step process for applying this. The research outlines a super clear 3-step process. Step 1, practice awareness in ordinary moments. Don't just box God into spiritual times, Recognize His presence when you're commuting or studying. Step 2, pause when facing decisions. Actively remind yourself that He's right near you during those tough choices. And step 3, create space to meet intentionally. Carve out small, dedicated moments for him in your routine. Going back to that busy college student scenario we talked about, maybe this just means taking a quick 5-minute pause between lectures to simply acknowledge that God is right there with you. So here's how you can live this out immediately. Offer something intentional this week, your time, your focus, or maybe a specific act of obedience. You do this by actively asking God to shape your heart, transforming your obedience into a really willing, joyful offering of your schedule and your attention. It's a real game changer. Finally, Section 5, Conclusion and Reflection. If we had to sum it all up, it's 2 words: live aware. Let's wrap up this explainer with a little reflection. Consider this question carefully. What does your current posture toward God reveal about your willingness to give him your time, attention, and obedience? Take a second and really assess if you're just going through the motions or if you're offering a truly willing heart. Are you responding out of a deep gratitude for his grace, or is it just a reluctant obligation? And I'll leave you with this final provocative thought to ponder today. How would your daily decisions change if you were more aware that God is present with you in every single moment? Challenge yourself to truly live aware of his presence in absolutely everything you do, completely relying on his grace to shape that willing heart in you. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. And hey, keep pursuing that awareness every single day.